What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Now, what I'm going to be talking about in today's video is Week 18 and the 17th game of the NFL season and how that's going to be impacting the Ravens, because I honestly think it's going to play a crucial part in not just this season, but it can play a big role in the years to come. But I'm mostly going to be focusing on this season because we don't know exactly how the scheduling is going to work for that Week 18 game in future seasons. But as of right now, it's just adding an extra game on to the end of the season. And if you did not know, the Ravens will be playing at home against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, one, I absolutely love this. I love the matchup. It's a great matchup. But the best part about this, we don't have to play an AFC North team in the final week of the season. Do you know how many years in a row it's been? 11 consecutive years of having Week 17 be playing against an AFC North opponent. Most of those were against the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm tired of it. Every year it's the Bengals trying to play spoiler, and it's really frustrating because, they did have that one spoiling moment that one time with Tyler Boyd. They're never going to let you hear the end of it. But when you're playing another team, that isn't an AFC North team and they're just kind of resting people, they don't care as much about the spoiler mentality. Looking at that side, it's kind of nice that we don't have to play, the Bengals again in Week 17. I guess we probably will play them in Week 17, but in the final week of the season, Week 18. Kind of looking at this Rams game, the Rams are going to be very good next year. I've talked about Matthew Stafford, I think once before on this channel. I'm a huge Matthew Stafford fan. I think he's probably a top 8 quarterback in the NFL. I'm going to say right now, I'd take him over Kyler Murray. I'm a huge Matthew Stafford fan. Now, if you disagree with me, comment it down below. I love to hear other people's thoughts. Just because I think Stafford is very, very good, you don't have to. But I think Stafford's an incredible quarterback. He's a massive improvement over Jared Goff. And why I'm bringing this up is because the Rams are going to be in contention in the NFC West. That's huge. This isn't going to be a spoiler game, because if the Rams were bad, maybe we're playing the 2012 Rams where they just suck. They're not going to be trying as hard if it were we're 5-11. They're not going to try as hard, so it's not going to be that bad. But this NFC West is competitive. It's got very good teams, and the Rams are likely going to be playing. Honestly, they could be playing for the division title in the NFC West, competing with probably the 49ers and possibly the Cardinals. Doubtfully the Seahawks, but maybe they pull something out of their butt, with Russell Wilson. So they're going to be trying to win this game. And that's going to make it very competitive. It's going to be playoff atmosphere between two very good teams with very, very good defenses. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey. I mean, I could go on and on about the great players on these defenses, but it's going to be a real test for the Ravens. Now, obviously, you can look at this and be like, scoff. MVP Lamar, Jackson 5, Monday Night Football. Yeah. But you can't hang your hat on a game that happened, a few years ago. Could he do it? Absolutely. I hope he absolutely does it. Goes out there, throws another 5 touchdowns. But, it's going to be a competitive game. They no longer have Jared Goff at quarterback. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be, hard-nosed playoff atmosphere. But the best part about it is why it's going to be so competitive is because there's only one number 1 seed. And I don't like the fact that there's only one bye week, and it goes to the number 1 seed. Obviously, there's only one number 1 overall seed. That was a stupid thing to say. But I don't like the fact that there's only one, team that gets a bye in the first week and there's an extra wild card spot. But, it is what it is. And so both of these teams are probably top 3, top 4 teams in their conference. So there's a good chance that these teams are vying for playoff positioning, because it used to be, okay, you're in the 2 seed, and then, maybe you've already clinched the 2 seed. You're like, okay, we don't have to try as hard. We're 1 game behind. We need the 1 seed to lose, and then we'd have to win. And you're still going to try and win, but it's just not very likely. Or maybe the 1 seed wins on Thursday Night Football or whatever, and you're like, okay, we don't need it. We can rest our starters. No, now it's okay, you have to play everybody, and you need to get that 1 seed, because having that first round bye is so crucially important when it comes to the playoffs. Obviously last year it didn't work out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning it all, but the Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl. The year before that, the Chiefs had a bye, and then they made it to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. And then the 49ers, I don't think they had a bye. I can't remember exactly if they did or not. But, getting back more on track, the bye week's going to make this extra competitive because these teams have a chance to be playing for that number one seed in their conference. And I think it's just going to be such a fun game to watch. It is unfortunate that, it is going to be a really fun game to watch because, it's stressful at the end of the year. You get to January and you were really worried. But, with the Ravens have finished incredibly strong. They've been one of the top two hottest teams going into the playoffs every year under Lamar Jackson. From his rookie year to last year, the Ravens have been heading into the playoffs, like a meteor, just catching on fire in Earth's atmosphere. I mean, they are just ready to go. Now, Greg Roman does this thing in the playoffs and that kind of stuff happens. But the final kind of advantage that I see for the Ravens, I think this is a massive advantage for the Ravens getting in this because, one, they're going to be really hot. But two, I think that Orlando Brown Jr. is going to be traded. And I think he's going to be traded mid-season. And why that is because I think that the Ravens will draft an offensive tackle to replace Orlando Brown, but they will keep Orlando Brown for a couple of weeks until they feel that right tackle is able to take over. So if they feel like that tackle is able to take over, then they'll trade Orlando Brown Jr. and get a good wide receiver. Similar to how Orlando Brown Jr. came into the league, third round pick. He didn't start right away. Then he came in midway through the season and he played very, very well. Do the same thing, drafting a third round pick and hoping that he can develop and then realizing, okay, he can be a competent starter now. We can trade Orlando Brown Jr. The issue with that is if you get a wide receiver in that trade, maybe the Cowboys are struggling. They trade Michael Gallup. Maybe the Dolphins aren't really happy with Devontae Parker. They trade him. Maybe the Bears are unhappy with, there's a ton of guys, that could get traded. DJ Chark is another one. But they wouldn't be able to get that training camp. They wouldn't be able to get all those reps with Lamar Jackson that they would get if the Ravens traded for them, today. So if they have an extra week of the season, it's just an extra week of game time and practice with those players. And that's going to be very valuable because, the more reps you get with your quarterback, the better. So having an extra week to practice, having an extra game to be able to work things out and get on that same page, because Lamar Jackson is not an easy quarterback to play with. And that's not knocking Lamar Jackson. It's just saying the things that you have to do way more when you're playing with Lamar. You have to recognize when he rolls out of that pocket, when you have to change your route and turn up the field. That's why the Ravens wide receivers struggle with Lamar, other than really Mark Andrews, is because a lot of them just don't have that knack for just, okay, I need to just completely break off my route and start going towards Lamar so then he can find me. It's difficult, but the more reps you get with Lamar, you're going to be able to start doing that. We've seen Hollywood start to do that. I think Miles Boykin did it once, but, I don't like to give Miles Boykin credit. I'm just kidding. Miles Boykin's done it before, but not super consistently. But getting that extra rep, that extra week of reps is going to be very valuable. So let me know down in the comment section down below what you think of this, Game 17, Week 18 matchup between the Ravens and the Rams. How you think it's going to go? Do you think it helps or hurts the Ravens? Because the other thing is the health aspect. If somebody gets injured, extra toll on the body, that type of thing. Obviously, Alvin Kamara was very outspoken about it, saying I think he said, shaking my head this is so stupid or something like that. It's an interesting dilemma, but I think, every team has to deal with the, it could add injury aspect, whereas the Ravens are more likely to add, more weapons to their, offensive core that's actually going to be playing. So I think getting those extra reps is going to be huge. And I'm very excited to watch this Week 18 matchup between the Ravens and the Rams. If you want to see daily Ravens content, make sure to subscribe button down below. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow.